And so here's a new one that I do not recall being out there. At least I couldn't find it. It's ELB. ELB stands for electronic linked braking. That means that when I hit the front brake, the rear brake is applied automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I hit the pedal brake, the front brake is also applied automatically. Now, it says some models when pressing the rear brake. It doesn't say it comes in all of them, so I'm not sure what the difference is or what differentiates between that.
The interesting part about what you just told me is that it's electronic. Now, they've had linked brakes. That was a big part of the Rushmore release in 14.
Yeah. Yeah, the ability was there.
Linked brakes, but I'm pretty sure that was a total hydraulic system.
I think so.
Now we're going back to cables, so maybe that was a modification that they had to make and go electronic there if we're using cables instead of.
So in 21 we went back to cable. So we spent.
But that's just in the lever. That's not. We're not applying brake pressure with cables.
No, it's an automatic. It's like the cruise control. I mean, it's not. It's all done,
But yeah, it sounds like they've made that electronic instead of hydraulic, or maybe there was no change in that. But yeah, the linked brakes has been around for a minute.
I'd be curious if you could turn that off.
Well, it
is off at certain speeds, I do think.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not a 100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I would need to do some more digging, but it's just a feature that is available.
Mm-hmm. In the Pan Ams in my GS, typically for off road, you're going to have a riding mode that will disable that because in off road conditions you
need to be able
don't want to lock up the front
right
wheel ever, but in certain circumstances you absolutely do want to lock up the rear.
Right.
So you can modulate it that way through the controls.
Correct.
Which I would assume they've just taken this technology, and that's something I wanted to touch on. So let me hijack the conversation for a minute. Harley don't make this shit. Like, they just buy it from somebody else. This technology that they've got.
That's right.
I doubt they've got the extent of their engineering department is how to fit this to their bike.
To their frame or to their, make it work.
All these manufacturers probably buy the same IMU or inertia measuring unit,
right?
6-axis IMU from whoever's manufacturing it, be it Bosch or whoever makes it. I don't know. I would assume Bosch, but and then you go to the Brembo brakes, which link to that. A lot of manufacturers, BMW is using Brembo. A lot of the Jap bikes are using Brembo.
Yeah. You can buy Brembos for your car.
Yeah. So I think they work together, and then it's just a matter of, okay, do we want to spend the extra money to buy this unit and put it on our bike to have that technology? And then that technology carries over from model to model to model with some slight variation. But it still all comes out of that brain of, we're measuring lean angles, we're measuring speed, and we're measuring wheel speed.
Right.
Like separately.
Which we have the ability to do.
We have the front wheel spinning faster than the rear wheel. Oh crap, that's a problem.
Yep, that's right.
So anyway, Harley don't make that crap. They just make a decision as to whether or not they allow us to have access to it in certain models or not.
Well, and the simplistic explanation of that is this. CVOs several years ago started coming with installed garage door opener devices inside the fairing already mounted. And that's, that was special. That was good. Did I miss something here? I hear some noise. That upstairs?
Got to be.
But what a lot of people didn't know, oh man, the CVO's nice. They got, you can open your garage on it. Well, guess what? Go to Harley, buy that device that Bosch made or somebody, and open your fairing up, wire it in, and yours can do the same thing. Same thing with the CVOs. You have one switch turns it on, you crank it up, one switch turns it off. All the other bikes, you got to hit the ACC or the run switch, then hit the crank switch, and well, you can have that program turned off, so you never have to turn the ACC switch on off ever again. Just you can crank yours just like the CVOs do. So to DJ's point, a lot of this technology's been there. It's just they're just now working. It's like remote deposit for banks. That's been around for 30 years.
Yeah,
actually 40 years. But just 20 years ago, did they really kind of crank it up and get started? So
Well, it's like Apple and iPhones. They can't give us what we want all in the same device, right? They've got to give us a little bit at a time to keep us buying.
sure.
is the limited in here?
Which limit? Which what?
The excuse me, not the limited. The Street Glide Ultra.
Yes, right here.
Do we have fog lights?
No, because it's in the fairing. They have the new fairing on
Okay.
it. So they've done away
Well,
with those.
historically you had passing lights.
Right, right.
And that was one of the things that I always did. But I did it with my first limited, my trike, my second limited was take it to the dealership and have them flash it so that when I turn my high beams on, it doesn't cut my passing lights
That's
off.
right. It keeps everything on.
So anyone that's buying, here's your tip. If you're buying that bike, tell them that they require them to do that before you leave the showroom floor with it, before you sign the paperwork, or else you got to pay them $50 or some
Yep.
stupid number to go do it afterwards. But
Well, and there's another feature that's
again, so simple.
that's the same with that is that when you turn on your bright lights, your dim goes out. Mm-hmm. But you can have that also programmed to where when you turn your bright lights on, the dim stays on.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things like that that a lot of people don't know, and that goes back to what we talked about early in the show, where a lot of guys just get on their bikes and ride, and come back home, park it, and they don't think about stuff like that. But if you've ever been out riding at night, and you turn on your lights, I'd like it a little bit brighter. You could get a little bit brighter if you had it programmed to leave the dim on, or if you've got an Ultra with the passing lamps, then have those left on so they don't turn off.
Yeah.
So some fun features. The CVO Road Glide and Street Glide, some new colors, Blue Streak, which is in the chrome, and then the Raven Fade and the Poison Berry come in the scorched chrome. That scorched chrome looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan really last year. They used it some, or at least that's what they called it. But it looks pretty good. The Poison Berry seems to be the winner of the unique colors. Now the Raven Fade looks fantastic, but that's not they've done fades before. You and I both own a fade in two different colors. Yours is probably closer to that fade than mine, obviously, because mine's blue, but so the fade is not new, but this Poison Berry color, that looks pretty cool. It's don't know that I would ever want to own it, but other options
Some
first.
things look very purple, and I'm just not a purple fan.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Mystic Shift colors because that looks kind of flattish. Doesn't look like it's got much of a sheen to it at all.
Yeah, agreed.
Have you seen it in person though?
No,
It's sharp color in person. Again, not something I'm going to sign up to buy, but I don't hate it. It's just not me.
Yep. Everything else seems to be about the same as it was in 23.5 drops into 24s. Not there's no fairing or any other changes, infotainment, all that stuff, bags, all that's
The Ultra you get the subscription to the maps.
You do, and they also, the new Ultra also has the new tank and the new bags. So they went all new. Basically, they took a Street Glide, new Street Glide, and put a tour pack on it. Mm-hmm. So, which is kind of what we knew that we were going to do at some point, anyway.
I mean, it's still a high value bike when you look at the whole line, but I feel like it always has been.
Sure. All right. Moving right along, CVO ST models. This is the second year for the CVO STs. I think they performed well enough last year that they're going to give them another shot. I test rode one last year, and I've said before, and I'll say it here, I was not overly. Now, let's emphasize the word overly. I was impressed, but I was not overly impressed. Granted, I test rode it on sprinkly, drizzly, cloudy day, and I had two others to ride, so I didn't get to enjoy it probably as much as I would have, maybe in other circumstances. And it was good. It was nice. Sounded good, but I didn't get to test out the torque, didn't get to test out throttling it out, and I'm not going to test out the whether the ride modes work in the rain when I'm test riding it. So the STs still come with the 121 HO, not VVT, so don't get that confused. That is the 121 high output. Any guess on the horsepower and torque?
125, 130.
I was going to say 135.
145 foot-pounds of torque.
Oh.
And 127 horsepower at 4,900 RPMs.
Is this the bike with the clamshell?
Monster.
The what?
The clamshell bags?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. That is a very impressive. So you're at 6 foot-pounds torque more than the CVO, regular CVOs, and 12 horsepower more than the regular CVOs. I mean, 6 foot-pounds of torque is, I would think, is pretty
That's
noticeable.
going to be more. We haven't put either of our bikes on a dyno, but we've both done, heavy aftermarket stage 2s.
Mm-hmm.
And I would assume that's going to be higher numbers than either one of us can produce after putting thousands of dollars into motor builds right off the floor.
I agree.
And
I agree.
What that translates into in the saddle may or may not.
And this is
coincide,
not, this is not to rear wheel. This is, dyno numbers. It doesn't, it could be to rear wheel, but it didn't say that. Normally when somebody is getting that number to the sprocket, they say that. Because there's a little bit of difference there. So,
Yeah.
So they have black only in their trim. There are no chrome. The Rally Red, I love it.
It's sharp.
I love the Rally Red. The one that I'm not for sure of is Hot Lap.
Yeah.
And I have Eek beside my statement here. I'm like, And then the other is a Mercury Silver. Now, when you look at it, and I first saw the color, I'm like, Mercury Silver, just a gray bike? Well, it is. It's almost like a billiard gray, gunship gray kind of color. But they did really nice on the striping and the badging, so it really gives it a nice look. I guess probably, an ST CVO look.
Yeah.
So makes it good. Still has all the carbon fiber crap. I didn't like it last year. I don't like it this year. And everybody I know or has been around that has bought one, that was the first thing they did was remove as much of that carbon fiber as they could. Not because it's not practical or beneficial from a weight perspective on the bike, but because it looks like crap.
Looks cheap.
Yes.
It looks like fake carbon fiber.
DJ's thinking.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Give me some carbon fiber wheels.
There you
How about
go.
that? Now we're doing something.
Reinhardt's carbon fiber wheels will eventually wind up on my road glide.
Okay.
You heard it here.
The gloss black ones, because they still have that carbon fiber look, but they've been glossed over, and that looks really good.
Is it a 21?
They make it 19 and 21.
Okay.
He wants me to put the gold ones on the limited, because
Yeah.
I've done some gold trim to that bronze armor color,
Hey, that looks sharp.
which I think it would. But you're talking about, lock, stock, and barrel. Those wheels are $6,000.
Yeah. Yeah. They're expensive. But
Yeah.
You talk about an instant horsepower gain.
Losing about 250 pounds.
Yeah.
No? Was that it?
Yeah. You change your
you're-
battery
yeah.
to a lithium and
I've already done that. And then two
change
wheels.
those carbon fiber wheels and you've
Yep.
you've reduced the weight of that bike and in rolling weight, like
Oh, yeah.
that's a big step.
Well, I talk about my fishing often, but a couple of years ago, I took out all the AGM batteries and replaced them with, so I lost 200 and I think I figured up 260 pounds out of the back of the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, she will jump out of a hole now. So yeah, it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Mercury Silver still has all the carbon fiber there. So I wish John Woody was here to talk and help us discuss this, but you'll have to do it in your truck, Big John. So the first is Lowrider ST. That is the Cadillac of the sport bikes, I guess. Cruisers. It's a cruiser. $24,199. That bike 2 or 3 years ago was $19,999, so it's definitely has went up a little bit. But off the showroom floor, it has a 117 HO. Now, one of the things that our friends, and I won't call their name, podcast, we all watch a lot, but they were kind of going back and forth on this, and I was screaming at the radio because they weren't calling it right. One of them said, I know it's got to be a VVT. I said, it's not. It's an HO. It's an HO. It's just... Anyway, so the high output at 117, and that's got to be just a badass motor. I mean, you're pushing 128 foot-pounds of torque and 114 horsepower on about a 500 to 600-pound bike.
Zoom.
That puppy will scoot.
Zoom.
I mean, we've had conversations with John. His 19-year-old now has owned one for a couple of years and rides it. But, I mean, I would not put my 15, 16, 17-year-old kid on a bike of that unless I just was 100% comfortable that he was responsible enough, because any kind of goosing it to let's just see what it'll do could
Is it though?
be damaging. I mean, now with all the controls on it, because there's a lot of ride safety enhancements that's been put on this bike, and maybe that's why.
Yeah.
But like many other enhancements, they can be turned off.
Yeah. So I guess that was one thing that I wanted clarity on is, did they add the tech pack to the Softail lineup to get you traction control, ABS? I guess they've had ABS. That's not.
Well, there's your list right there of some things I listed that was on there. Anti-locking brakes, we know that. Traction control, drag torque clip control system, TPMS, and one of the coolest things for me was on all of the cruisers, they came back with the dial display on the handlebars rather than that little digital strip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that looks good. It's an analog dial. So you have the speedometer needle, and then there's a digital panel below it that displays everything else.
Like the Road King.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Well, like it used to be. And a couple, 3 years ago, they went away to that little digital panel.
Which is horrible.
Yeah, it doesn't look good at all. But that was something that was very very good. And they've added a USB charging port for phones down on below the tank.
Oh.
So you can charge your phone. And I was very proud of Harley. All right. It's USB-C. How about that? They didn't go to USB-A, which I was expecting to see it. I thought, well, they're just going to go the old USB because they're behind the times.
Yeah.
No, it's USB-C.
But so, they've had that on the... Well, they didn't have the USB-C. My Heritage had a USB port.
The port, yeah.
All right. So here's my question. What's your reluctance if your 15, 16, 17-year-old son, what would be your reluctance to putting him on a Lowrider S?
Well, let's see if this surprises you more than anything. It's not the 114 horsepower. It's the 128 foot-pounds of torque.
That he's going to do what with?
I mean, depending...
So we're talking torque now.
Depending
wheeling.
Depending on where it hits. Yes, you're talking about taking off from a stop sign or a red light in a small town and second gear doing 60 miles an hour.
But more. You'd put him on a KTM 250?
In a pasture with some mud grips on it.
Yeah, I just don't think that's as big of a concern. I hear you; those are big numbers. I've ridden John's
I think the
LRS
potential is there, but
Like, I mean, it's powerful, but it's not uncontrollable. It's not like a slip of the wrist and he's going to be in a ditch. I think a Ninja 400 gives it a run for its money.
Yeah, the crotch rocket
Gixxer
definitely.
600 smokes it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got some of
But
that.
I mean, it's
type
got some
bike.
power. It's going to come out of the hole probably a little stronger than the Road Glide, but I don't know that it would be. If you're worried about them wheeling, there's plenty of bikes out there that'll wheelie much better, that are much smaller, much more fuel efficient.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think you've got a good, nice combination of a motor here that's going to be, I mean, John's has got a 114, right? They had 114s up until last year. They had a 117 in it, but it was not a 117 HO.
Mm.
So I think the outlay of foot pounds and horsepower was less.
Yeah. Still think to wheelie one, even with the bump and the power, like it's going to have to be intentional.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't think it's going to be an oops, look what I've done. I think it's going to be I know what it'll do, so let me see if I can get it to do it.
Yeah.
So the low rider and the street bob are also out. They are 20,000 and 17,000 respectively. Nothing really fancy about those that changed. Some colors and things of that nature came out. Same thing with the Breakout and the Fat Boys. Not a lot of changes. I will tell you one. Let's go back to the ST. One of the things they changed on it that I really like, the Lowrider ST, is they went to a 2-into-1 exhaust.
Yeah,
instead of the stack.
Yeah.
So it looks good, but I think the main reason they did it was it gives room for that little saddlebag to go on the back of it. But it definitely looks good because even that'd be one of the first things I changed when I get a Breakout is going to be the stack. It doesn't look horrible, but I just don't like it. So, but that's something they did. All of the cruisers and the sport bikes that Harley's got, if I'm not mistaken, might be able to see them here. I think they all are now, 2-into-1. Yeah. So let's see. I'm looking. All of the sport bikes, that looks like that's a stack, but that's a 2-into-1. It's 2, and all the Revolution, these two Revolution Maxes right here. And then let's see, where are we at? Breakout stack, Lowrider ST is a single stack on the Fat Boy. Street Bob's got one. So yeah, it's I guess
half and half. Good
mixture, I guess maybe, but the Breakouts had the 117 for a couple years now, I guess, or at least last year. But they're calling it the custom powertrain. Last year's model was called a 117 something. Mm-hmm. It's kind of basic. And last year's model had 123 foot-pounds of torque and 101 horsepower. But this year's model, they're calling it a custom powertrain. Now, the page wouldn't load for me to get all the specs, so I couldn't get the foot-pounds of torque. This is the only bike that the page wouldn't load on, so I don't know what they got going on. Maybe it will later. And
you'll notice they've had a lot of website issues here lately.
Well, first of the year, loading all that stuff on and hands in the pot, I'm sure.
I guess.
They went back to the 4-inch round analog gauge, so that would be intriguing for me to buy the 25s just because of that.
You think Trump will put Elon on that website?
Probably should. He put SpaceX with Apple to keep them in line. So.
I'm glad we're not discussing some of the stuff that's been going on.
Yeah, we don't want to do politics tonight. Yeah, so that's about it. They have some new colors, but I didn't find anything. The Fat Boy, they went to the wheels that are not solid. We talked about that last time. To me, the Breakout is still one of the coolest looking cruisers because of the 21 wheel, but that's because I'm a 21 wheel fan. But I got to tell you, this little Street Bob looks cool. The Fat Boy looks good. I mean, there's the LRST looks good. They've definitely made the LRS2 to where if somebody wanted to buy that and have the cruiser bike that would travel, they could do it. Not that the other ones couldn't, but
yeah, I really like the LRST.
Yeah.
I really like Leah's bike. It's got the LRST with tour pack on it.
Yep.
I mean, it's a sharp bike.
I mean, you're actually getting, I guess a touring bike when you do that, right?
Sure.
I mean, it got a lighter frame, different frame on it. So it's pretty good. Any other information that y'all want to throw out there about the cruisers or before we enter into we're moving along really good and fast here.
Well, we're over an hour and a half.
Are we?
Yeah.
We may have to do a to be continued and split this up or something, or I may chop some stuff out of it. We'll see.
Getting a rumbly in my tumbly.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do real quick the Pan America ST, $19,999. It comes with the 1250 ST Revolution Max engine, pushing 91 foot-pounds of torque and 149 horsepower. No more spokes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cast aluminum wheel. They went from a 19 to a 17, which is truly the mark of a crotch rocket wannabe. Smaller tire.
I mean, I think they took what the market was showing. People were taking those Pan Ams and making supermoto bikes out of them, and they said, hey, we can do that too and sell it and capture some of that business. So
I agree.
I don't hate it. I like the price point. I like the value that you get at the price point. I think it's superb.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I don't, if that's what you're looking for, then that's what's out there for you. I say, when I say truly the mark of a crotch rocket wannabe, that's not a ding. Harley over the years has done a few things, the Buell and other models, that they've tried to get into that world, and it looks like maybe they've finally scratched the surface of it. I have read where they took the wheels or the wheels that were on the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I guess a bring back. But outside of that, vivid black, billiard gray, and brilliant red is your colors. Yeah. So kind of.
I mean, I do think if I was buying a bike to be an everyday rider, like it was going to be my commuter bike, I don't know that you can beat that. If I don't want the laced wheels where, that are better for off-road, and, I'm not going to want a 50/50 tire and, a little lowered stance, the power, the tech,
still has the ride adjustment,
lots
in it,
of
so
accessories.
That's
cool. Yep. I'm sure you can add the bags and all the things. I think that would be a great enter into the Harley world bike.
I think that's one of the things that they said, and I got towards the end and didn't do tons of due diligence, but looking at the picture here is that, but I don't see, I saw somewhere somebody said that they didn't put the same rack on the back of it that they did before to all the bags and stuff like that. But I see it looking the same as the special, so I don't see any.
Yeah, I don't think there's any difference there.
You've had to add that on anyway.
They just went to smaller wheels and lowered the suspension a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, so you're winning me over a little bit because my initial thought was, why buy a bike that they're already making with just street tires on it? Because you can put street tires on the Pan Am, right? The Pan American.
You could, but that bike with the smaller wheels and the lowered suspension is going to lower the Pan America drastically, like 4 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it still has the ride height adjustment on it. So that means that, when it's in its low position.
So for just
really
and it's a zippy ass little bike. So, I don't want to take anything away from that by saying just a little commuter bike. They went 1250, right? This is not the 975.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
It'll shit it and get it.
That's why I'm saying, I mean, because my initial thought was, why just create another bike with street tires that you've already got on the showroom floor? But, as I'm listening, y'all are kind of winning me over with the
if I had to guess, I would say that they've done their homework and, either figured that the ADV world was not buying these bikes as much as the, and I'll use the crotch rocket terminology again. And so they figured that this year, let's just gear towards the street version and see what happens. Let's throw something against the wall and see what sticks.
Well, and let's look at what other people are doing and do exactly what they're doing, right? So BMW this year, or last year rather, BMW went all in on the GS Adventure. It was bigger, bolder, badder, all this stuff. And then the standard GS was smaller, lighter, more nimble, lower, because they found out that the ADVers that were really going off road and going down that path, like they wanted the bigger but then the people, I've talked to a lot of people that have a GS Adventure and a GS. They're the same bike, but they'll set them up differently. They just love the bike so much but one of them is just a commuter bike because they're great for that. They're very nimble. They're very maneuverable in their weight class. Power's there.
Yep.
I can take my GS out after a rain and I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
My bagger, I don't want to clean all the water spots off between the fins on the, I'll ride it, but the GS just a different creature. I imagine the Pan Am's probably the same way for you.
Oh, yeah. It's still got bugs on the fairing if you walk over and look at it.
Yeah. It's just a different.
You would never see bugs past the night I rode it on the other ones.
So yeah, I like the new Pan Am ST.
I'm not against it, but it's going to fit a market, and I can tell you that market's probably going to do pretty good with it if they're looking for something different than your you called them jiu-jitsers, your ninjas and your foreign bikes. They also blacked it out, so the kind of charcoal gray on the Revolution Max motor that you've seen on the Pan Americas is now all black. So, but they've got the electronic locking brake system, traction control, vehicle hold, all that's on the Pan. It gets a lot of the best of everything, just about. 5.6 gallon gas, 542 pound bike. You could haul across country on it if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. So plenty capable. Last but not least, Nightster Special, and Sportster, respectively 10.4, 12.4, 15.9. All have the 975T Revolution Max motor. Didn't a lot change about these. One of the things that I like about those is some of them, like the colors that I would like or that I might appreciate. Let me back up. I said that wrong. Some of the colors that I would not want on a bagger because there's so much painted surface don't look too bad on these bikes because you just get the tank is all that's painted.
Yeah.
So pretty cool looking colors. You get 72 foot-pounds of torque, 91 horsepower. I mean, that's good for a light bike. I did not look up the weight of it, but if I had to guess based off of what the Pan America weighs, it's probably a 450 pound bike. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's their 2025 drop, and lots of information we threw out there. And if you're thinking about going and looking, maybe that helps you and gives you a little information and a little IMO from us as well. But overall, if you had to gun to your head, Mr. Buck over there, what would be your favorite bike of all the ones that dropped this year? You had cash in your hand, you're going to buy something. What are you buying?
A T-shirt.
$45,000 T-shirt?
Yeah. No, that probably I'm going to surprise you guys, probably. But that Pan America CVO.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that dropped last year.
Yeah, we got a new color in it this year.
There is a new color in it, yes. DJ, gun to your head.
Ultra.
Do I get to keep the bikes I've got?
Sure.
Oh, or do I have bikes and I'm making this decision?
Now, you've already got what you got. You're adding to the stable.
I get what I get and I don't pitch fit.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the Raven Fades, the only one that really fires me up.
I love it.
And it's sharp. I dig it. I dig it.
Out of all of them that we looked at, and I've seen, and I've seen them all now, but that one definitely was a standout.
It's still, I will say it does not beat the Legendary Orange. That would still be my go-to.
Yeah. Riders had one of those on the floor too.
Yeah. If I could find one of those still sitting around and I've got $45,000,
Be hard pressed not to.
yeah, I'm going Legendary Orange.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that. But of the 2025 models, probably going to be Brilliant Red ST, or Rally Red, I say, is what they call it. Rally
ST.
Red ST.
Okay.
I think I'll probably give the ST another try. I don't know that I'll buy one. I know I want to break out first, but
Now, how many of these are they going to have for test riding in Daytona?
all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they usually have them all. Sturgis and Daytona, places like that. They'll have they'll have it over at the track, over at the Daytona Speedway, and you just go over there and sign up. I got a card in Sturgis, and it's good all the time. You just go up and let them scan it, and
Yeah, I got to remember to take mine.
yeah, me too. So, all right, gentlemen, we've chatted enough and give them a lot of information, even learned a few things ourselves. How about you guys sign us out of here?
Yeah. So if you have ever been riding and come across a Sportster or a Nightster with the Rev Max motor in the wild, I would like to hear from you. So shoot us a line at Southern Tulane. That would be on the TikToks, the Grams, the face pages, and the tubes. And we got some new stuff coming up, right? With the we're on the interwebs.
Yes,
Yeah,
we're building a
website.
website. We're going to have some merch before long, hopefully. and
Hey,
show the hat there.
merch.
Yeah, going to get some tees. Mm-hmm. We want this thing to take off. We want to do some good stuff with it, and the same reason that we talked about 2 years ago when we first started talking about this is we want to do this to intermingle with other like-minded folks when we go to these rallies and locally or wherever we're at, and answer any questions. I think one of mine and DJ's biggest goals, and John, because he was in on the beginning as well, was that we wanted to help folks that are thinking about doing something to their bike but didn't want to make a mistake, only wanted to spend money one time, help you make some good decisions and choices and not have to redo stuff like some of us did. So, but that's kind of the goal. Buck, what do you think about it?
I got a tiger by the tail.
I've got
a tiger by the tail.
In unison. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, let's go get a bean and a beer, man.
Let's do it, guys. Until next time, God bless you. Say something kind to somebody, and always remember, 2 wheels down.